You've been sold a lie. The modern self-improvement industry wants you to believe that if you just biohack your morning routine and squeeze 5% more efficiency out of your day, you'll finally be happy. But look at the data. Your relentless pursuit of efficiency is exactly what is killing you. We treat exhaustion like it's a personal failure, a sign you couldn't hack it. But that's a fundamental misunderstanding of corporate mechanics. Your exhaustion isn't a bug, it's a feature. It is the natural mathematical result of being too easily leveraged by people who do not care about your well-being. Think about what happens when you clear your inbox by noon. Does leadership pat you on the back and send you home? No. They realize you have excess capacity, and they fill it with someone else's delayed project. In the modern economy, competence is punished with volume. Why do we tolerate this? Because we are terrified of the ticking clock. We see younger, cheaper talent entering the market, and we panic. We run faster on the treadmill, terrified that if we stop producing visible value for even a second, our lives will expire. From the moment you sit at a desk in elementary school, you are trained to be the ideal asset. Straight A's, perfect compliance, flawless KPIs. You are conditioned to believe that molding yourself into this perfectly predictable shape is what will keep you safe. But step into the forest and watch the lumberjack. He doesn't waste his time on the complex, difficult wood. He goes straight for the easiest tree to chop and process. Your flawless optimization doesn't protect you. It makes you the prime target for extraction. Look at the trajectory. The higher your utility rises, the faster your life capacity plummets. It is a direct, unforgiving trade-off. Every time you solve a crisis that wasn't yours, you drain a reservoir of cognitive energy that you can never get back. The solution isn't found in a new morning routine. You cannot fix a toxic, extractive environment by organizing your calendar better or downloading a new task manager. Applying productivity hacks to a fundamentally broken system is like putting premium gas in a car with no engine. We need to look outside of modern capitalism entirely. We are turning to a framework designed over 2 millennia ago. This isn't about positive thinking or self-care. It is a mathematically precise, hardcore survival strategy for chaotic environments. The philosopher Zhuangzi looked at a massive, twisted tree that carpenters ignored, and he realized the ultimate truth. It lived for thousands of years because it had no commercial value. Intentionally becoming unleverageable is the ultimate defense mechanism. To pull this off, we have to unplug the engine driving your stress. That engine is the illusion of ownership. You wake up every day fighting a bloody war to protect a territory. Your title, your status, your youth, that was never actually deeded to your name. The ancient principle here is brutal but liberating. You do not own your physical form or your corporate standing. You are simply a temporary tenant. You have been granted a highly restricted lease on a biological vehicle, and eventually the lease expires. Think about the psychology of renting a car. If the paint gets scratched, you don't lose sleep because you know you're handing the keys back anyway. When you accept that your career and status are just leased assets, the terror of losing them evaporates completely. The ancients called this qi. Think of yourself as a collection of cosmic Lego blocks. You are not a permanent, solid noun. You are a verb, a temporary configuration of energy, constantly shifting, never meant to be frozen in place. What we call a success or a win is just the blocks assembling for a brief moment. What we call a failure is simply the dismantling process. The blocks scatter to be used for something else. The fundamental pieces of who you are never disappear. The universe is the ultimate zero-waste system. When a project collapses or a company folds, it feels like total devastation. But from a higher vantage point, it is just resource reallocation. The energy is simply moving to where it is needed next. The skills you built, the late nights you worked, the care you put into a team, none of it is erased when you get let go. It integrates back into the ecosystem. The math always balances. You lose the title, but you keep the growth. Because everything is temporary, you have to stop taking the corporate simulation so seriously. You're walking around with a VR headset strapped to your face, playing a high-stakes character and taking every single hit point of damage straight to your actual heart. You need to take the headset off. Enter observer mode. You still show up. You still do the work, but you do it with the profound detachment of someone holding a controller. You watch the drama unfold, but you are no longer the victim of it. When disaster strikes the office, most people stand behind a brick wall and let the floodwaters crush them. Don't do that. Change your altitude. Get in the helicopter. You can acknowledge the crisis without letting it drag you under the surface. This entire shift boils down to one thing: swapping out your mental software. Right now, your brain is running a buggy, outdated program that guarantees an eventual crash. We have to wipe the hard drive. The default software you were installed with is the corporate OS. Its only objective is to maximize your output. It views idle time as a sin and treats your physical body as a piece of heavy machinery meant to be run until the gears melt. Under this old system, your brain is locked in a permanent state of threat detection. You are constantly sandbagging the doors, terrified that a bad quarter or a new manager is going to wash away everything you've built. Now, look at the alternative. The natural OS doesn't care about your productivity. It cares about your preservation. It shifts the goal from being relentlessly leveraged to becoming strategically useless in the areas that drain your soul. To the old system, a failure is a permanent stain on your record, a total annihilation of your worth. To the new system, failure is just compost. It is the necessary breakdown of old material to fertilize the next phase of your life. The shift is profound. You watch the stock market dip, you watch the reorg happen, you watch the panic in your manager's eyes, but you remain absolutely still. You observe the chaos, completely untouched by the noise. To permanently lock this new software in, you have to delete the metric you've used to measure your self-worth since you were a child. You have to unlearn the lie that your value as a human being is tied to what you produce. Here is the brutal reality: useful equals consumed. Every time you raise your hand to take on more uncompensated responsibility, you are just offering yourself up as fuel for a fire that will never keep you warm. The machine does not have an off switch. It will never tap you on the shoulder and say, "You've given enough." It will extract your youth, your energy, and your time until the well is dry. You have to be the one to pull the plug. The only way out is inversion. Useless equals free. When you intentionally step back and become unleverageable to the machine stops pulling at you. That is the exact moment you get your sovereignty back. We cause our own suffering by clinging to things that were built to break apart. You're fighting a war to freeze a moment in time, a specific job, a specific income that the universe is already trying to rearrange. Nothing lasts. Companies go bankrupt. Layoffs happen. Markets shift. This isn't a personal failure or a reflection of your character. It is just the natural dismantling process, the cosmic breath exhaling. Every ounce of energy you spend fighting that inevitable change is an ounce of energy you steal from your actual life. Surrender isn't weakness. It is closing the valve on a massive energy leak. This leads to Xiao, ultimate freedom. It's the realization that you are no longer a perfectly optimized tool for someone else's quarterly goals. You are finally allowed to just exist. But let's ground this in reality. You still have to pay rent. You still have to walk into that office building tomorrow morning. How do you survive the bureaucracy without losing your mind? You stop trying to punch through the walls. You execute wu wei, effortless action. In the West, we mistake this for laziness. It's not. It is the high-level martial art of moving entirely with the system's momentum rather than exhausting yourself fighting against it. Most ambitious people are like bad butchers. They hack directly into solid bone. They argue over impossible deadlines and try to force toxic people to be logical. All that does is shatter the knife. The bone remains completely intact. A master butcher finds the spaces between the joints. Follow the hollows. Find the gaps in the corporate bureaucracy. Do exactly what is in your contract, but let the ego battles and the artificial urgency slide right past your shoulder. If you navigate the hollows, you clock out at 5 p.m. with your internal energy completely intact. You survive the machine without dulling your blade, preserving your sharpness for your family, your health, and your actual life. You are standing at a crossroads. You can keep gripping the blocks, fighting the dismantling, and letting your blade get dulled by nightfall. Or you can release the configuration, follow the hollows, and preserve your energy. Let's crystallize this choice. Let's put these two operating systems side by side so you can see exactly what you are trading away and exactly what you stand to gain when you finally decide to unplug. One demands that you extract every ounce of value from yourself until you are empty. The other demands that you fiercely protect your bandwidth and guard your unscheduled time like your life depends on it. Because it does. One tells you to guard your youth and your status with crippling anxiety. The other reminds you that you're just borrowing this matter for a little while, and there is peace in knowing it must be returned. One tells you that a layoff is the end of your world. The other knows that failure is just compost. Every resource is reallocated. Nothing of actual value is ever truly wasted. One keeps you drowning in the flood, permanently stressed, perpetually defending your ego. The other puts you in the helicopter, watching the waters rise and fall from a place of absolute safety. To make this stick, you have to delete the old code. You have to stop measuring your worth by how many hours you build or how many emails you answered. That metric was designed to enslave you. You are caught in a trap designed by people who profit off your exhaustion. Waiting for the corporate world to give you permission to rest is a fool's game. You have to pull the plug yourself. Let it sink in. The more indispensable you are, the faster you burn. High utility is nothing but a countdown to your own obsolescence. But when you step off the pedestal, when you stop volunteering for the slaughterhouse, when you become strategically useless to their bottom line, you finally win your freedom. You cannot heal in the same environment that broke you. Stop trying to plant your roots and find your self-worth in the middle of a lumber yard. Find soil that actually nourishes you. It all comes down to this singular directive. Become the crooked tree. It is the ultimate philosophy of survival. A quiet, unshakable rebellion against a world that wants to consume you. Move your identity out of the harvest zone. There is immense, profound safety in letting the highly ambitious, highly useful people take the spotlight while you quietly thrive in the shadows. The straight tree is proud, tall, and ends up as a floorboard. The crooked tree is passed over, and it gets to live. Do your job, but for the love of God, stop auditioning for the axe. When you stop fighting to be the perfect asset, the anxiety engine powers down. And for the first time in years, you will find you actually have the mental bandwidth to live your life. Drop the titles. Drop the corporate persona. They were heavy, and they were never yours to keep anyway. Stop guarding them with such violence. You will find incredible peace the moment you open your hands. This is the observer's peace. The corporate game will continue without you. The world will keep spinning in its frantic panic, but you are finally safe from it. This is Xiao. True freedom isn't the ability to buy more things. It is the freedom from being a tool. Unanchored ambition is just a gilded cage. No one harvests what they cannot use. You have arrived. You haven't retreated to a mountaintop. You stand in the exact same office, in the exact same reality as everyone else, but you are simply no longer owned by it. This is the path. Perceive the protection of uselessness. Release your desperate attachments to rented blocks. Observe the chaos in peace. The crooked tree survives because it was never worth cutting down. Be useless, be free, unplug, reclaim your time, and stop performing for a machine that will never love you back. Subscribe if you are ready to stop being straight lumber. The village is waiting.